Now, you wrote a piece that was basically talking about this route of people who were bankers, and for their clients, or not necessarily for their clients, they left Wall Street and they go take a real job as a CFO somewhere.
Well, that's right. The last few years have not been kind to investment banking, and the bonuses structures have changed dramatically, and regulation is bearing down. And at the same time, companies are under increasing pressure from shareholders to do these complex financing transactions or split ups or acquisitions to deliver this value to them that they so desperately want. So that's a nice confluence that makes it sort of a ripe time for investment bankers to make the jump.
Right. I would note, because I read the piece and it's very, very interesting, and if you're not a subscriber to CFO Journal, then maybe you should. There are different things that a CFO does. And some of the things people on Wall Street know how to do. So when it comes to financings or M&A activity, but then a lot of the nuts and bolts accounting, a lot of the stuff that would be in the control functions or even the treasury function are not things that most people at Wall Street are going to be used to. So it's pretty important that they have people already on board who know what they're doing on
That's
that front.
absolutely right. All the former investment bankers that we talked to said they were comfortable with the accounting, but it was very important to them when they came in that they had very strong controller functions, internal controls especially, these things that take years to really master and have a lot of subtle nuances that are just different than the everyday P&L.
Yeah, we did see a problem, and by the way, I don't want to imply at all that he had anything to do with it, but the fellow who was the CFO at MF Global was, I think, an ex-Wall Street guy who went over to MF Global to work with Corzine, relatively young guy. Like I said, I don't know him, but you know, that company ran into all these sorts of problems, and it just goes to show you that when it comes to certainly finance companies, things like controls, the treasury function, allocation of money, all that stuff gets kind of hairy kind of quickly.
That's right. Well, you know, there was an announcement that was just made yesterday afternoon of a small company on the Amex that's trying to balloon into $1 billion company with the help of Brad Jacobs, the founder of United Rentals, and they are having a very huge M&A strategy. So they poached an investment banker from Stifel, and that's their goal. But on the flip side, Computer Science has reported today that its CFO is leaving, and ultimately on accounting issues like they have with the SEC Computer Sciences, the buck does stop with the CFO.
Exactly.
So in good times of mergers and acquisitions and special financing, raising the capital markets, I'm sure that they're going to be well beloved, but any time that these accounting issues come up, people might second guess and say, well, that's what happens when you don't have a core of accounting.
Yeah, I had a handful of my ex-colleagues from Goldman are now CFOs of companies, a couple of very large companies, in fact. And I think for people, it does make sense as a career, but you know, it's not as, you know, a lot of what is in the traditional CFO function is not as sexy as Wall Street in many respects.
It's not, and also you have to deal with your compensation. Everybody knows every penny of it once a year, whereas an investment banker, you might get a $10 million bonus, you might get a $100 million bonus, and that's yours to keep and tell whoever you want to.
Right, now you're public scrutiny.
Now you're under public scrutiny, but I guess the playing field is leveled. As one CEO told us, you know, they just used to cost too damn much money to poach, but now the playing fields have leveled, and the salary and bonus structures are roughly comparable, and especially a lot of investment bankers that we're finding among these six at least, they always sort of harbor that desire to actually pull the trigger on a deal.
It's the idea. Not only that, there is a notion it's like you know, like I could do that. Like you know, like if you
I feel that about myself. I could do that.
Exactly. You know what? You probably could do that, Max.